War does not choose the strong, it forges them. But sometimes it chooses those the world deemed too small, too weak, or too insignificant. At the height of World War II, a young man, standing just 5'5" tall and weighing little more than 100 pounds, tried to enlist in the Marines. They laughed at him. He tried the Navy. They rejected him. He tried the paratroopers. They said he wouldn't withstand the impact. That young man was Audie Murphy, an orphan from Texas, the son of poor sharecroppers, who carried in his eyes the hardness of a life of deprivation. What no one knew, not the recruiters, not the generals, not the Nazis themselves, was that inside that frail body beat the heart of a lion. Audie Murphy would not just enter the war. He would become the most decorated soldier in United States history. A man who would single-handedly face an entire company of German tanks and infantry on a frozen field in France. Today, on War Heroes, we tell the definitive story of Audie Murphy, the little giant who became Hitler's biggest nightmare. Audie Leon Murphy was born on the 20th of June, 1925, in Kingston, Texas, the seventh of 12 children. His early life was a relentless struggle against poverty. His childhood was not marked by toys or dreams, but by hunger, back-breaking manual labor, and the constant threat of destitution. His father, Emmett, a man broken by life's hardships, eventually abandoned the family, leaving Audie and his siblings to fend for themselves in an unforgiving world. This early struggle instilled in Audie a fierce independence and a profound sense of responsibility for his family. To help put food on the table, Audie learned to hunt. This wasn't a sport, it was a matter of survival. He had no ammunition to waste, as every bullet cost precious pennies the family didn't have. It was here, in the vast, unforgiving woods of Texas, that Audie developed the legendary marksmanship that would later save his life and the lives of his comrades. He became an elite shooter out of sheer necessity, honing his skills with a precision that would soon be tested on the grandest, most brutal stage imaginable. This period forged his resilience and his uncanny ability to remain calm under pressure. In 1941, tragedy struck again, deepening the scars of his difficult youth. His mother, Josie Bell, passed away, leaving Audie, at just 16, an orphan in all but name. The weight of the world seemed to rest on his young shoulders. Months later, the attack on Pearl Harbor plunged the United States into World War II. For Audie, the war seemed to offer a desperate escape from a life of misery, a chance to prove his worth, and perhaps even provide for his remaining siblings. But there was a significant hurdle. He was underage, and, with his slight build, looked even younger than his years. With the help of his older sister, Corinne, he forged his birth certificate to appear 18, the minimum age for enlistment. Even so, his physique was so fragile, his frame so small, that he was initially rejected by almost every branch of the armed forces. The Marines, known for their rigorous physical standards, turned him away. The Navy deemed him too slight. Even the paratroopers, a unit he greatly admired, dismissed him, fearing he wouldn't withstand the physical demands of airborne combat. Finally, the Army, desperate for recruits, accepted him. They needed bodies for the infantry, and Audie, despite his appearance, was a willing volunteer. Little did they know they were accepting the man who would not only redefine the concept of heroism, but also become the most decorated soldier in their nation's history. Audie Murphy was assigned to the 3rd Infantry Division, famously known as the Rock of the Marne, a unit with a storied history of valor. His baptism by fire occurred during the Allied invasion of Sicily, Operation Husky, in July 1943. From the outset, his superiors still saw him as a kid, often attempting to transfer him to less dangerous roles, like kitchen duty or administrative tasks, to protect him from the brutal realities of combat. But Murphy, driven by an unyielding desire to prove himself and fight alongside his comrades, steadfastly refused. He wanted to be on the front line, where the real fight was. In Sicily, he quickly proved that his Texas marksmanship was no fluke. His precision and calm under fire were evident. In one notable incident, he single-handedly eliminated 2 Italian officers attempting to escape on horseback, showcasing his deadly accuracy. But it was on the Italian mainland, in the brutal, unforgiving mountains near Salerno and at the bloody, protracted Anzio beachhead, that the world truly began to take notice of Murphy's extraordinary capabilities. These were campaigns of attrition, marked by fierce resistance and heavy casualties, where every inch of ground was paid for in blood. At Anzio, Murphy faced the unremitting horror of modern trench warfare, a grim, static battle where death was a constant companion. He watched his friends die, one by one, their lives extinguished in the mud and blood of the Italian front. He himself contracted malaria, a debilitating illness that would plague him with recurring fevers and chills for the rest of the war. Yet, even shivering with fever, he refused to leave the line, his determination unwavering. His courage was not reckless. It was a cold, calculated, and deadly resolve, born from a deep sense of duty and loyalty to his fellow soldiers. He was promoted to sergeant, earning the profound respect of men often twice his size and age, who recognized the steel beneath his youthful exterior. January 1945. The war in Europe was nearing its end, but the fighting in the Colmar Pocket in France was some of the fiercest and most desperate of the entire conflict. The German forces, trapped and fighting for survival, launched ferocious counterattacks. The 3rd Infantry Division, having borne the brunt of months of continuous combat, was exhausted, its ranks severely depleted, reduced to a mere fraction of its original strength. Audie Murphy, now a 2nd lieutenant, after a battlefield commission, a rare honor bestowed upon enlisted men for exceptional bravery, commanded Company B. He was just 19 years old. On January 26, near the snow-covered village of Holzfire, the unthinkable happened. Murphy's company, already reduced to a mere 19 effective men, found itself under a massive, coordinated German assault. The attacking force comprised 6 formidable Panther tanks, heavily armored and armed, supported by hundreds of well-trained infantry soldiers. It was an overwhelming force, designed to crush any resistance. Murphy, understanding the futility of a direct stand against such a superior force, ordered his men to fall back to the relative safety of the nearby woods. He, however, chose to stay behind, exposed to direct artillery fire via radio, attempting to slow the German advance. But the Panther tanks, relentless and menacing, continued their inexorable push forward. It was then that Murphy spotted a burning, abandoned American M10 tank destroyer, its crew having been forced to evacuate. What he did next defies all logic, all military doctrine, and all common sense. It was an act of raw, unadulterated courage that would forever etch his name into the annals of military history. Murphy climbed onto the burning M10 tank destroyer. He knew, with chilling certainty, that the vehicle, engulfed in flames and laden with ammunition, could explode at any moment, turning him into a fiery inferno. Yet, he ignored the imminent danger. He grabbed the exposed .50 caliber machine gun, a weapon designed for heavy suppression, and began to fire. Alone, completely exposed on top of a flaming target, a beacon in the snowy landscape, he unleashed a torrent of lead, single-handedly holding off the entire German advance. For over an hour, an agonizing eternity, Murphy fired burst after burst, his body a blur of motion against the backdrop of war. He was surrounded by thick smoke, the searing heat of the flames, and the biting cold of the snow. Through the crackling radio, he calmly, almost casually, shouted artillery coordinates, adjusting the barrage onto the advancing enemy. When the bewildered artillery operator, hearing the coordinates so close to Murphy's reported position, asked how near the Germans were, Murphy famously replied, with a chilling blend of humor and defiance, "Just hold the phone and I'll let you talk to one of them." He was wounded in the leg by shrapnel, a deep, painful gash that bled profusely through his uniform, but he didn't stop. He ignored the pain, the fear, the exhaustion, driven by an almost superhuman resolve. He eliminated dozens of German soldiers, his accurate fire cutting down wave after wave of infantry. The Panther tanks, now deprived of their vital infantry support, their advance stalled by one lone, defiant American, were forced to retreat. When he finally ran out of ammunition, the M10, having served its purpose, exploded moments after he scrambled down. He then limped back to his men, his face grim but determined, and immediately led a counterattack that successfully drove the remaining Germans from the area, securing the position. For this unparalleled act of bravery, Audie Murphy was awarded the Medal of Honor, the highest military decoration for valor. He was still only 19 years old. To truly grasp the magnitude of what Murphy accomplished at Holzweiler, we must delve deeper into the tactical context and the brutal conditions. Alsace in January was a white, deadly desert, a landscape transformed into a frozen hellscape. Temperatures plummeted far below freezing, and the snow often reached knee-deep, making movement arduous and exposing soldiers to the constant threat of frostbite and hypothermia. American soldiers were suffering from trench foot, exhaustion, and dwindling morale. Company B, already under strength, was isolated, a small island of resistance against a determined enemy. The German Panther tanks were technological marvels of their time. 45-ton behemoths armed with powerful 75mm cannons capable of destroying an American tank from miles away. Their thick frontal armor made them almost impervious to Allied anti-tank weapons. When Murphy climbed onto that burning M10, he wasn't merely exposing himself to enemy fire. He was perched atop a ticking time bomb, a tank full of highly flammable fuel and explosive ammunition that could detonate at any second. The odds were not just stacked against him, they were insurmountable for any ordinary man. Eyewitnesses later recounted that the German advance was momentarily paralyzed. They simply could not comprehend that a single, seemingly insignificant American soldier was daring to challenge an entire battalion. Murphy, with his radio, was not just calling in artillery, he was calling fire directly onto his own position, a desperate gamble that only a man of his caliber would attempt. "Correct 50 yards," he yelled, his voice cutting through the chaos. The radio operator on the other end, horrified by the proximity of the requested fire, reportedly exclaimed, "That's on top of you, Lieutenant!" To which Murphy, without hesitation, responded, "I know. Fire it." This chilling exchange perfectly encapsulates his audacious courage and his unwavering commitment to the mission, even at the cost of his own life. This extraordinary combination of raw physical courage, unparalleled marksmanship, and brilliant tactical intelligence under the most extreme pressure is what truly separates good soldiers from legendary ones. Murphy wasn't just shooting, he was orchestrating a symphony of destruction, a one-man army holding the line against a vastly superior enemy. His actions that day were not just heroic, they were a masterclass in small unit tactics and individual bravery, a testament to the power of one man's will against overwhelming odds. At the end of the war, Audie Murphy had accumulated an astonishing 33 medals and decorations, a collection that included every medal for valor the United States could offer. Alongside numerous honors from France and Belgium, he was a national celebrity, a living legend. Lifetimes magazine, one of the most influential publications of the era, featured him prominently on its cover, hailing him as Soldier Number One. He was paraded as a symbol of American heroism, a beacon of hope in a war-weary nation. But the war, for Audie Murphy, didn't truly end when the guns fell silent. He returned home carrying invisible wounds, what we now understand as post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. He suffered from terrible nightmares, vivid and relentless, that robbed him of sleep. Insomnia became a constant companion, and depression cast a long shadow over his days. He famously slept with a loaded pistol under his pillow, a grim testament to the lingering trauma of combat, always on edge, always prepared for a threat that no longer existed in his civilian life. Despite his internal struggles, Hollywood came knocking. The legendary actor James Cagney, recognizing Murphy's unique charisma and story, invited him to become an actor. Murphy, seeking a new path and perhaps a way to outrun his demons, accepted. He went on to star in over 40 films, predominantly westerns, where his quiet intensity and authentic presence resonated with audiences. But his most famous role was playing himself in To Hell and Back, the cinematic adaptation of his autobiography. The film was a blockbuster, a monumental success that held the record for Universal Studios' highest-grossing film for 20 years, a testament to the enduring power of his story until it was finally surpassed by Jaws. However, Murphy used his newfound fame for something far nobler than personal gain. In an era when mental health issues, particularly those affecting veterans, were largely misunderstood and stigmatized as battle fatigue or weakness, he spoke openly and candidly about his own struggles. He became a pioneering advocate for veterans' rights, lobbying the government for more support and resources for those returning from the Korean and Vietnam Wars. He was one of the very first public figures to admit that the invisible wounds of war were just as painful, just as debilitating as the physical ones, breaking down barriers and paving the way for greater understanding and support for future generations of veterans. Murphy's transition to Hollywood was far from easy. He was deeply uncomfortable with the superficial glamour and often felt like an imposter in the glittering world of cinema. He frequently stated that the true heroes were the ones who never came back, those who made the ultimate sacrifice. In his films, he insisted on performing his own stunts, a reflection of his innate courage and his desire for authenticity. He wanted the action to be as realistic as possible, though he readily admitted that no film, no matter how well made, could ever truly capture the visceral smell of death or the deafening, soul-shattering sound of an artillery barrage. His personal battle against an addiction to sleeping pills, which he began taking to quell the relentless nightmares of war, was another testament to his indomitable will. He publicly confronted this struggle, demonstrating a profound strength of character. He famously locked himself in a hotel room for a week to cleanse his system, enduring the painful withdrawal with the same unwavering resolve he displayed on the battlefield. This act, though private, further proved that his willpower was unshakable, whether he was facing down German tanks or battling his own inner demons. Audie Murphy died tragically in a plane crash in 1971 at the young age of 45. He was on a business trip, attempting to rebuild his fortune after some unfortunate investments, when the small plane he was aboard crashed into a mountain in Virginia. He was buried at Arlington National Cemetery with full military honors, a fitting tribute to a man who gave so much to his country. His grave remains one of the most visited sites in Arlington, second only to that of President John F. Kennedy, a testament to his enduring legacy and the profound impact he had on the American consciousness. At his request, his tombstone is simple, unadorned, like that of any other soldier. He never saw himself as a Superman, never sought to elevate himself above his comrades. He saw himself simply as a man who did what needed to be done to protect his friends, to ensure their survival, and to fulfill his duty. His humility, even in the face of unparalleled heroism, was one of his most defining characteristics. Audie Murphy teaches us that true heroism lies not in the physical size of the man, but in the vastness of his courage, in the face of overwhelming fear. He was the son of a sharecropper who, against all odds, became a giant in history, a true war hero whose story continues to inspire generations. If you enjoyed the incredible story of Audie Murphy, don't forget to subscribe to War Heroes for more tales of extraordinary courage and sacrifice. In our next episode, we'll tell the inspiring story of Desmond Doss, the man who saved dozens of lives without firing a single shot. Until next time.